Hello friends, welcome back to VOWIAS. Welcome to the mains test series discussion of Vision IAS, and today we are going to discuss the part 2 of test 8 where we will discuss from question number 4. So before we begin, a small information. The document that we are using for the discussion is the VOWIAS prepared summary document of Vision IAS test series. So as you all know, Vision IAS gives the test series solutions. Like for each test we will have a total of about 50-60 pages each solution. So what we have done is we have concised these 50-60 pages into just 10-12 pages. Okay, we try to reduce the size of the content, we try to summarize it so that it will become easy for you during your revision. So if you want to subscribe to them, do visit our Telegram channel or leave your details in the comments, or do let us know if you have any questions or queries. Now let us quickly begin. The fourth question, broadly if you see, it is with regarding to political neutrality. In the other words, the political neutrality is nothing but the non-partisanship. So it is the absence of political affiliation and biases, and this is basically during the discharge of professional duties, when a political executive is formulating a scheme for public and seeking opinion of civil servant. So the civil servant has to give a politically neutral opinion and should not hesitate from offering his honest opinion, because only then the public good will be served. Otherwise, if the bureaucrat, if he has any political affiliation, then his answer will be biased, and then when his answer is biased, then there will be no honest opinion, and it is the public, it is the people who will suffer at large. Okay, because at the end of the day, every scheme or every or the aim of the bureaucrat is to ensure public good, is to ensure that the largest section of the society, or you can say especially the vulnerable section of the society, they should get benefited. Okay, now what is the significance of this political neutrality in public service? First is handling the political pressure. This will ensure that the civil servant acts solely on the merit basis. It will ensure rule of law, like upholding the values of constitution without favoring political ideology. Better credibility and persuasive capability in negotiations in situations like communal riots, ethnic conflicts, etc. The neutrality brings in objectivity. What does this mean? When the funds are to be allocated, a neutral civil servant, he would not favor his village or political party of his ideology, but allocate funds on need basis. This is the important thing. And also, it will reduce the corruption, red tapeism, etc., leading to efficiency in effectiveness in the public service delivery. So this was the major issue, the corruption and red tapeism. And today, because of the transparency and because of the technology, this is reducing to a certain extent. And without neutrality, without this political neutrality, close relationship between bureaucrats and larger scale firms will lead to political nexus, and this further lead to crony capitalism. So that's why the neutrality, maintaining neutrality is very, very important for the bureaucrats, because see, they have a lot of power. So this power has to be used in the right direction and for the right cause. For that only all these things. And also this political neutrality, it will ensure that there is public trust in the system. It will ensure that there is no favoritism, because today, if you see in the Indian democracy, no party, or you can say no government is permanent. It is the governance which is permanent. People change, but the system will be there. So the bureaucrat who has a long career has to serve the system, because that is the important thing. It's not about the people in power. People will change, but the institutions will remain. So this is the thing. Next, the fourth question, 4b. This question is about integrity and honesty. So there is a slight difference between integrity and honesty, and the question is based on that. We will see that. Honesty is upholding and stating facts, upholding truth, no to lie, steal, cheat, or deceive in any way. Integrity, on the other hand, is thinking and doing what is right all times, no matter what the consequences. Okay. Honesty is upholding all the facts and all, and upholding the truth, not to lie and cheat. But integrity is the thinking and doing of what is right in all the times. One can be honest in an act, but one needs to be integral in his whole conduct. So there's more to integrity than honesty alone. So integrity is a broad thing, while honesty is just a small thing in this. Integrity encompasses consistency in thought and action, integration of ideas, conviction, and behavior. It needs more than truthfulness or honesty. Integrity requires one to face challenging situations. Example, in Mahabharata, Arjuna was confused between the dharma or to follow the kinship. Such conflict is critical to determine person's integrity. But in honesty, it's very clear. If you're just on the right of the truth, then you are fine. But integrity is much more than that, because there are a lot of subjective issues that will come in. So this example of Mahabharata you can write. And also integrity is related to the soundness of moral character and honesty. One may be honest with engaging in reflection that integrity demands. Okay, so honesty, if you see, for example, in the public service, an officer may deny a person his pension or anything just because he is not able to produce any certificate or he is falling in the gray area. So here the integrity will come into picture, because yes, it is right that he is honest, but is that act right? The answer is no. The act is not right. So there his integrity will come into question. If he has high integrity and all, then he will choose to give all the required permissions and everything, and he will do everything within his capacity to ensure that the person will get his pension. Okay, so that is what is the major difference. Honest person may truthfully tell what he believes without advanced determination of whether it is right or wrong. Example, a person may say all athletes cheat and really believe in this statement, but that's honesty. But is he right? Because he is not taking any effort to determine whether his assertion is truth or false. So that means he is lacking integrity. Okay. So this you can even quote as an example. Now, what are the ways to inculcate integrity in the civil services? Because especially the civil services, this integrity plays a huge role. If a young recruit, if he is posted under an honest officer, then he is likely to remain honest because of good mentoring. Okay, honesty in day-to-day conversation promotes integrity. And all next is using carrot and stick policy. Appropriate behavior must be rewarded and inappropriate behavior should be punished. This has to happen. Sensitivity training. A person is made to learn desired value through role playing so that nuances of the same is understood. Second, ARC recommends code of ethics to set up broad principles for all departments of government, ensuring adherence to the same. So code of ethics, sensitivity training, carrot and stick policy, like all these things are the ways to inculcate integrity. In integrity, we can also write the example Satyendra Dubey, how an IAS officer exposed the corruption in the highway construction. So that also we can write. Right. Now let's move on to the next question, 4C, that is about probity. So probity is having strong moral principles like honesty, integrity, uprightness, transparency and incorruptibility, and following highest principles and ideals rather than avoiding dishonest conduct. This is called as probity. Constitution provides legal framework for governance. Probity is part of ethical framework that determines the nature of governance and relationship between governing and the governed. So probity is a much broader concept, and probity consists of honesty, integrity, uprightness, transparency and all. See here in these kind of questions, if you can draw some diagram. Okay. Sorry. So here if you can draw a sun diagram, probity, it consists of all these things. Like this, if you can draw a sun diagram, it will become easy for the examiner and it will fetch you extra marks. So try to add these kind of things. Next, probity is essential for good governance as the probity is concerned with the procedures and systems rather than the outcomes. It ensures procedural integrity of the institutions. It increases credibility among the people. Because probity is much broader thing. Okay. Next, the probity ensures or it maintains ethicality and legality of institutions regardless of the individuals manning them. Because it is of broad concepts like honesty, integrity, the uprightness, transparency and all. So this will ensure that there is ethicality in the system. It will ensure that there is legality in the institution, because at the end of the day, the people will change but the institutions will remain. So the institutions if they are governed by right rules and the right people, then the people will have the right governance. The probity avoid suboptimal outcomes and poor perception, as it ensures objectivity and independent view with respect to the fairness of the process. There will be strict adherence to highest moral standards, enabling the officials to deal with everyone impartially and in an objective manner. It allows the officers to take decisions solely in terms of public interest and not to gain financial and other material benefits. Probity ensures equitable and just distribution of resources. This is about probity. Right. Now let's move on to the next question. The fifth question, and this is with regarding to utilitarianism. The fifth 5A is with regarding to utilitarianism. So the definition, if you see, it prescribes that everyone should choose the option that maximizes the utility to the maximum and which produces largest amount of good. It is the form of consequentialism. And this utilitarianism, it gives a reason-based approach in determining right and wrong. So that means positive utilitarianism, you can say that, because it provides objective path for determining correct action, one which provides more utility than other options. So it makes easy to choose the options. Robin Hood is a classic example for this. It sees no reason to obey a rule when well-being can be achieved by violating it. It helps in making correct judgments both in individual cases and in choices about the government actions and policies. Example, if two people are suffering and there is enough medication for one, then utilitarianism provides the answer through who should be treated first. So these kind of dilemmas can be overcome, and it needs impartiality and equal consideration of all people's needs and interest. Now, what are the limitations of this utilitarianism? So limitations, if you see, it may approve actions that are morally wrong, because there are few things which are morally wrong. For example, this murder, rape, or even you can say theft. These are morally wrong, even though if they are providing benefit to the people, but it is morally wrong. And also another example here, you can see, if a judge can prevent riots that will cause many deaths by convicting an innocent person of crime, then utilitarianism allow that judge to convict. But that's a wrong thing, because the person is innocent. Also, next thing is, this utilitarianism will allow majority win over the minority, but minority are also part of the society. Their voice also have to be heard, and no one could trust other people to obey the rules. The people's behavior would lack predictability and consistency. The predictability and consistency is something which is very, very important, and this will take a hit. It fails to recognize moral legitimacy of special preferences to anyone, including ourselves and people that we care about. Next, the 5B. This is with regarding to the ethical dilemma and crisis of conscience. So the circumstances that require choices between the competing sets of values or principles in a given undesirable and perplexing situation is the ethical dilemma. And this ethical dilemma leads to a crisis of conscience, because conscience is the ability to determine right from wrong, to decide whether to act with the truth or deceit. So when a person acts wrongly, the conscience pricks and alerts the person to avoid such action. Here one finds it difficult to decide due to the ethical dilemma. Despite this inner alert, if one acts against his or her conscience to meet the demand of situation, then there is crisis of conscience. Now the examples of ethical dilemma leading to crisis of conscience. The first is public life. Example, a public official has been ordered to forcefully evict illegal shelters from the government land, and the occupants are poor with no alternative for their survival. Here the official faces the ethical dilemma, as he chooses between his conscience of giving them time to vacate or perform his duty. If he or she performs his duty and goes against the poor, then there will be this crisis of conscience. So in the public life, having this kind of crisis of conscience is very common. Next, public activism. An officer facing dilemma of providing regular water supply and other infrastructure services to the occupants of illegal settlement. The conscience may motivate the officer to do these things, but this will go against the rules, because he has taken an oath to follow the rules, to follow the rule of land. And abiding by the rules, not providing facilities, may lead to crisis of conscience. And some examples from personal life, you see. So this also, you have to have these examples ready. Like, I saw a poor girl stealing a pencil from a stationery shop without paying. Though I want to report it to shopkeeper, but I sided this, or you can say I aligned my voice of conscience, as the child seems to be poor and needy. Thus, there was an ethical dilemma between protecting the poor child versus reporting an act of stealing. Choosing any one of the two options may lead to crisis of conscience. So these kind of examples we can write. Okay. So this is about this question. Now let's move on to the next question, the 6A. This is with regard to code of conduct and code of ethics. Code of conduct is a directional document containing specific practices and behavior followed or restricted under the organization. They demonstrate an organization's values, provide guidelines for the behavior, and measure employee success and act within the law. To assure outsiders that they can expect the degree of uniformity with respect to expectations of performance or moral conduct from the employee, though the code of conduct and ethics might sound similar, there are certain differences between two. So they are, by definition, code of conduct is the policies and rules both employees and employer must adhere to, where code of ethics it contains certain core ethical principles, values and ideals for the organization. And the nature of it, if you see, the code of conduct is directional in nature, but code of ethics is aspirational, because the code of conduct they direct the people directly, they guide the people of what to do, what not to do. But code of ethics is more personal, they are more aspirational. Okay, there is always scope of improvement in the code of ethics. Next, the scope, if you see, the code of conduct is narrower in scope, it limits itself from objective content, that's much narrower. But code of ethics, if you see, it is wider in the scope and provides subjective content that influences one's decision in the conflicting environment. And applicability is, this code of conduct provides for elements that the members of the organization must obey, but code of ethics is, it provides for elements that the members of organization are expected to adhere to. So code of ethics is something which they are expected to follow, but this code of conduct, this they have to follow. The code of ethics, even if they don't follow, they will tell them, the organization will tell them to follow such things. But code of conduct is something which everyone has to follow. No one can pass this over. And also with regard to objectivity, if you see, the code of conduct is very clear, it's very objective. It tells them what is required and what is acceptable. But code of ethics is not like that. These are the standards that are non-specific. They are designed to provide a set of values for decision making. Both these codes, they have the similar objectives to encourage specific forms of behavior by the employees. In both the cases, the organization desire is to obtain healthy range of behavior from the employees. It helps the employees understand how they can feel good about being contributing members to the company's future success. It helps manage expectations of employees and gather information on actions that challenge the code, and it will strengthen the internal culture. Next, the 6B. This is with regard to the public life and the Nolan Committee. The Nolan Committee principle, they gave 7 principles to improve standards in the behavior in public life: selflessness, integrity, objectivity, accountability, openness, honesty, leadership. It's very tough to remember them, so you can remember like this: SOOHAIL. You can remember like this. This is the shortcut. S stands for selflessness, O stands for objectivity, another O stands for openness, H stands for honesty, A stands for accountability, I stands for integrity, and L stands for leadership. So SOOHAIL, you can remember like that. Now the importance of these 7 principles, if you see, first is selflessness. The holders of the public office should act solely in terms of public interest. They should not have any selfish motives. Example, Lal Bahadur Shastri did not amass wealthy and bought a car by taking loan from the bank. Next, integrity. The public officers should not place themselves under any financial or other obligations to outside individuals that can influence them in the performance of their official duties. Example, T.N. Seshan, former CEC, who showed integrity in implementing the model code of conduct despite having all these political pressures. Next, the objectivity. In the public business, making public appointments, awarding contracts, recommending individuals for rewards, holders of the public office should make choices based on merit. Example, beneficiaries of the government schemes should be chosen on the objective criteria. Next, accountability. To ensure that civil servants do not become masters in India, accountability of the civil servants is indirect through legislators, and they are accountable to the public via elections. Openness. This is very important. This will ensure transparency in the system. This will increase the public might, you can say. This will also empower the public at large. Example, the RTI Act is a landmark legislation in this process. Next, honesty. Public officers must declare any private interest with respect to their public duties or to take steps to resolve any conflicts. Example, U. Sagayam. Example, we can write, he uploaded details of his assets on the district website as collector of Namakkal district. Next, the last one, leadership. The public officer should motivate others to achieve their essential goals. They should show leadership in the way while they are performing their duties and all. Example, G. Srijana, the commissioner of GVMC, Greater Vishaka Municipal Corporation in Vishakhapatnam, demonstrated her leadership skills by performing her duties during COVID-19 pandemic when she could have availed maternity leave. So this is about leadership. So these are the various values and examples and all. Okay. So I hope things are clear for you. Like we have discussed all the important components and important points from all the questions. If you have any questions, do leave your queries in the comment box. We will get back to you. If you want to subscribe, so do let us know via email or even contact us. You can contact us through Telegram as well. That's it, guys, from my side. I'll see you again tomorrow with the next set of questions. Till then, keep studying and stay tuned. Jai Hind.